Today we'll be discussing working remote. 4 tools you can set up in 10 minutes to boost your team's productivity. We're joined with leaders at Spekit, CloudApp, Atrium, and Metadata IO. Thanks for joining, everybody. Let's take a minute to kick off. Everyone can go around and introduce yourself. Mel, do you want to start?
Yeah, awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Melanie, co-founder and CEO of Spekit. Spekit is an in-app enablement solution that helps your team find the information they need, whether that's sales enablement resources or help on processes in Salesforce right when and where they need it so that they can spend more time with your clients and a little bit less time searching for information. So excited to show you guys just how easy it is to get started today.
Wonderful. Joe, do you want to tell us a bit about CloudApp?
Sure. Yeah, so I lead marketing over here at CloudApp, and CloudApp is a product that allows you to create visuals for instant business communication. You can create videos, screenshots, and GIFs, and also annotate on them to be able to kind of do a little bit more asynchronous communication that's visual. So think of Zoom or Google Meets or Blue Jeans as kind of your real-time feed, and then CloudApp is helping you with more asynchronous communication.
Awesome. Pete, tell us a bit about Atrium.
Yeah, for sure. My name is Pete Kazanjian. I'm one of the co-founders of Atrium. And so Atrium makes sales rep performance analysis software that continuously monitors dozens and dozens of AE, SDR, AM, CSM KPIs to proactively alert managers, operations, and reps when something is off in performance or something's great. And so what this means is that organizations can get to coaching insights faster on those different types of reps, so they can drive positive behavior change. So a way to kind of think of it, keying off of Joe, is if you had an army of sales operations analysts that you could deploy across your entire sales organization, but in software as opposed to it being individuals.
Awesome. Excited to learn more. And Kevin, let's hear about Metadata IO.
Good morning. Metadata is a machine learning automated demand generation platform, super quick to get set up with a goal of taking super manual process and converting it to an optimized demand generation engine. So we're going to discuss a special offer that we are running today in conjunction with this webinar, and we're looking forward to interacting with you.
Awesome. Let's kick off with Mel and an introduction to the Spekit platform.
Awesome. So thanks everyone for joining here. Just a little bit of background on Spekit. We started a little over 2 years ago. My background is in sales ops and Salesforce and enablement. And one of the challenges I had was that information was scattered, right? And it wasn't easy to train our teams on all the different systems we use. So we created Spekit. We have clients in a number of different industries. What all these companies have in common, is that they're really focused on using technology to enable their sales teams, their support teams, their success teams. And we recently got quite a bit of praise on the G2 platform for being easy to set up and to use, which I'm excited to show you today. And really the challenge, like I just mentioned, is that as an employee today, there's a million different resources that are available to you, but most organizations have that scattered across a ton of different tools and a lot of different channels like Slack and Chatter and Google Docs and presentations. And so when a rep comes up with a question that they don't have an answer to, it's not always easy for them to find that answer, especially when they're remote. And so the vision for Spekit was to really create a source of truth that you can put all of your enablement resources, all of your documentation, all of your processes in a single location, but that your reps and your support and success teams could access right in their flow of work in whichever application they're in. So the idea is that they essentially have a digital companion so that if they're in LinkedIn and they're an SDR and they're looking up, one of your personas, they can easily find the card that tells them, hey, here's how to speak to this person and what you might want to raise on a call. When they're in Outreach or SalesLoft or Gmail and they're coming up with an objection from one of their clients, they have an easy access to that answer. Or if they're in Salesforce, they're trying to close out that opportunity last day of the quarter, they get stuck, they have an easy way to uncover that answer. And so today I'm going to show you a couple different things. I'm going to go into the Spekit platform, which is the wiki where you store and organize all of your resources and enablement and content, as well as our extensions. And I'll specifically focus on our Chrome extension today and how you can not only embed visual indicators for your team when there's resources available, but you can also search for that on the go and even access it on mobile. And so can everyone still see my screen here?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So I'm going to go in and I'm actually going to go through the sign up flow just to show you just how easy in the next 10 minutes we can go through and get started. So I'm going here and I'm signing up for our free product, just so that everyone's aware here. All the functionality I'm going to cover today is available for free for up to 10 users. It includes all this out-of-the-box content. So you'll see here that to save you a lot of time getting started, we have a ton of out-of-the-box FAQ and questions on a lot of the top apps that your team might use, so that you can really focus on documenting the resources that are unique to your organization. So I've selected a few resources and now I'm going to go ahead and install the Chrome extension. Again, the Chrome extension is what allows your employees, your team to be able to access all this information directly from whichever app they're in, whether they're in their Gmail, Salesforce, Outreach, LinkedIn, you name it. So you can see here, it's a pretty quick sign up so far. And we're going to go through a 2-second tutorial here that just shows them a couple things. The first one, it gets weird when I share my screen with app cues. So I'm just going to go ahead and go straight into the application. So here I am, I'm in the wiki. So the wiki is where all this content is available in a centralized location. As you can see, you can click on a given resource. This is a topic where all of your documentation is available and you can go in and view that content one at a time. So all this content is going to be available to your user to go through and read at their own pace. In this topic, we track analytics to see who's gone through all that content, so that you can use that from an onboarding standpoint, or you can even select all this content and print a really quick PDF. So there's a lot of different ways that you can just use this out of the box content. But the best part is that using our Chrome extension, all of this documentation is going to be available to them on the go. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in Salesforce. So here I'm in Salesforce. If I refresh my screen here, now that I have the Chrome extension installed, you're going to see that we've already pre-populated some basic fields and questions that your teams might have in order to illustrate with examples. So you'll see here, whenever the Spekit icon exists, it means that there's a resource available for your team on that specific field. But let's say that you wanted to go ahead and document your own stages, right? We hear all the time from reps that they're not clear on exactly what it takes to move from stage 1 to stage 2. And most teams that we speak to have their sales process nicely documented in a PowerPoint somewhere. So what I'm going to show you here is how you can take all this resource that you have in a PowerPoint somewhere and instead put it in Spekit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and copy all this information here. And I'm going to go ahead and create a spec here right from the Chrome extension. So I'm in Salesforce. I'm looking to document this stage. I can simply go ahead and type qualification. I can then paste those resources there. I can make them look good if I'd like to here. And then I can go ahead and assign them to a topic. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and assign them to the Salesforce Lightning topic. If I wanted to communicate this new resource, I can also send a notification to my team that's going to send them a notification right through the Chrome extension or even by email. And lastly, I'm going to go ahead and assign myself as an expert on this particular resource. Once I create this spec, you'll see that it will save here so that my team at any point in time can search for this particular stage or this particular resource via the Chrome extension, whether they're in Salesforce or elsewhere. And now when I refresh my screen, you'll see that that resource is available to them right in Salesforce. So that as your rep is going about their day, they can't remember exactly what steps are required to move from one stage to the next. they can see that process outlined for them right where they would need it. Similarly, let's say you had some discovery questions and you wanted your reps to be able to access that wherever they are. I'm going to go ahead and create a spec for that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and, again, create a spec right here for our discovery questions. And I'm going to go ahead and assign them there and create a spec. Once I've created that, I can actually grab this link to intertwine that, because I know that when my team is on the qualification stage, they often are going to be qualifying a prospect. So I'm going to go ahead and just add a quick link there to that spec saying, hey, discovery questions here. I'm going to go ahead and add a link. As you can see here, you can add some neat links, videos. CloudApp is one of our favorites, which I'm excited to have Joe demo later, and you can go ahead and save that. And so the neat thing now is that as your rep is going about their day here, they're going through, if they want to access that, they can pull that up right in the sidebar here. So the whole idea is that wherever they are, they're a click away from any resource that they might need that's going to really help them be more effective in their day-to-day. If they also have a question, they can search for it, let's say, how to create a report. And this is where you'll find all of our out-of-box content to be really, really helpful. We've done a lot of that heavy lifting with you, partnering with top experts to create GIFs and to create videos and all the good stuff that help a user understand the process. Similarly, in a tool like Outreach as well, as you saw earlier, I downloaded our Outreach content. So here, all the content that a user would need to know is automatically mapped to where they would need it. So that if I need to know, like, how do I add a new prospect, I can follow this process really easily right here. Now, the last example I'm going to show you guys is an email. Let's say that whether this is a support question or whatnot, someone had a question on how to create a report in Salesforce. All I need to do is highlight a set of keywords. I can use our shortcut S for Spekit on my keyboard to search Spekit for that answer. I can then pull up the resource that I'm looking for. Let's say this is the one here. I'm going to go ahead and confirm, looks good. And so I can just copy that straight into an email. And so it's really easy for you to both centralize your information, but make it really easily accessible to anyone on your team. And you can also do that by adding resources. So if I wanted to go ahead and actually add a one-pager, for example, all I need to do is say, hey, one-pager for Spekit, because I know that this is a resource that my team needs a lot. I'm going to go ahead and grab that resource real quick, which is right to here, sorry. Of course, I lose the one resource that I needed right now. But let's actually pull up our order form, because this is a resource that I know my team needs a lot. So I'm just going to go ahead and add that PDF. Again, I'm going to add it to, in this case, I normally create a topic for enablement and create that spec so that at any point in time, if someone needs to share that resource externally, again, they can just copy that content and share it as needed. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use Spekit, both from like an in-app training standpoint, as well as from just centralizing your knowledge and just making all of that information really easily available to your team. And all of those topics are going to be available to them right there, as well as, of course, in the application. So hopefully that gives you guys a power tour of the solution. Again, all of what I've showed you today, as you can see, is really easy to set up, all available for free for up to 10 users under our free plan. And then there's also some other neat things you can do, like integrate with Salesforce at a deeper layer. So on that note, I think I'm up here on time, so I'm going to pass it on.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mel. Wonderful. Let's pass over to Joe at CloudApp and learn all about how CloudApp helps teams to boost their productivity while remote.
Hey, thank you. I'm excited to share with everyone today how CloudApp has been helping. We've seen a pretty big spike in usage of CloudApp since all of this kind of happened. I know if anyone out there is like me, you might have some kids at home, or you are taking care of a dog maybe a little bit more than you did before, or a pet, or maybe it's a roommate that you're having to take care of more. But we've seen kind of some interesting stuff with CloudApp usage. So usage during morning commute time is up about 2.5x, and during like non-business hours is up almost 3x. So we're seeing kind of this work shift. But CloudApp as a product is, it allows you to create instantly shareable videos, GIFs, and annotated screenshots. We also recently were named by G2 in a few different areas and have pretty high ratings there. And I also loved it so much that when I was working at Adobe a year ago, that I decided to join the company. So it's been a great tool to really help connect global distributed teams. We're all working remote now, so it's a great way to be able to communicate visually. And my favorite part is eliminating email. So instead of a long response that doesn't may not make contextual sense, it makes sense in my brain, but not always to the person receiving it, I can send a quick video of me explaining something, or a quick intro. Our sales team uses CloudApp, and saw when we started using it ourselves, we saw about a 5 to 10x increase in response rates. So it's pretty easy to do. You can create, annotate on images, and then share. It'll give you a quick link. Also, kind of some advanced tools are similar to like a Dropbox. You can just upload files and it'll give you a quick link. Last night I was creating a video for my kid's school teacher. And the video file, it was a compilation of like all the kids saying, "We miss you and we hope you have a good summer." And the compilation video was close to a gig. It was around 700 megabytes. So I just uploaded that to CloudApp and got a quick link and sent that to some people to kind of take a look at, to review before we send it to the teacher. Also, it integrates with all the products that you work in. So we try and create integrations where people are, and I'll show you an example of a Slack integration and what that looks like here in a second. So here's the demo. This is a picture of me using CloudApp, but I'm going to go ahead and exit here. So it's pretty easy to sign up. This is a remote work guide that has been getting a lot of traction for us over the last few months. You go to the site, getcloudapp.com, and you can sign up here either with Google or in your email. Also, we have a Ghetto demo option if you're a business and want to kind of understand how to sign up as a team. We have hotkeys, which I just used there, but I'm actually going to show you how to do it in app here. We have capture, record, GIF, and annotate. So if I want to annotate a quick note to a designer, I can just use some arrows and say like, let's swap the hero image and put on the left. You can kind of, add some stuff here. There's a blur feature where you can blur kind of the language out. So if you have sensitive material, you can blur that out. I'll show it again here so you can see things that I may not want to show to people. I can blur out. And then I can either copy the link when I annotate, and it'll give me a quick short link. And then I'm just going to go into Slack on my own little channel here, and I'll paste it, and it shows a nice unfurled preview there if I want to share it with a teammate, or you can also click into the link. And I'll show you this here. The next thing I wanted to show is a video. So this is probably one of our most used features, especially now. Video usage is up about 3x, as you can imagine, 3 to 4x. But what I can do here, which has been really good for our sales team and a lot of other sales teams using our products. Now you can see me in my bedroom. You can make these smaller or larger. You can also go full screen, back down. But if I start recording, I can, explain what I want done here, and I want to move this here and move that there, or you can give an intro to CloudApp. This morning I actually did a quick intro of CloudApp in under a minute and sent a video instead of a long email, which was nice. I'll click finish there. And videos move a little bit faster on Mac. They instantly upload on Mac. I'm on Windows, which is Mac is definitely our kind of flagship product at the moment, but Windows is getting there. And it automatically saves a link to my clipboard, but I'm going to just kind of show you guys these options here. And so I'm going to copy the link and then I paste it in here. There's my unfurl, and then it would show that viewer page. But the next thing I want to do is kind of show you what another cool thing you can do is I need to log into my browser here. So this is kind of the dashboard, but I want to show you this. So you can also add a call to action button. So if you created a sales video or a quick image, you can come in here and add a quick little call to action button. Get a demo, and I'll just say get cloudapp.com. You can change kind of the text color, pink and blue, whatever you want. You can have it below or hover when the video ends, and you can also change kind of the shape of the square. So I've seen this used quite a bit in, this is a quick way to create some marketing material or sales material, adding a call to action. And that's, another valuable tool that can really help you get something up and moving quickly. And the last thing is a GIF, and I actually created a GIF using CloudApp that I wanted to share. I think it's this one. So this is my Zoom call background that I used for a while. It's me walking in on myself in my bedroom. So I used that. I did it using CloudApp. I edited obviously the front and the end when I was, turning the tool on and off. But that was kind of a fun way to do a GIF. So there's the GIF memes, that everybody knows, but also like if you're just doing a quick repeatable task, like let's say I'm showing how to do a report, then, I could do a GIF and finish, and it would basically repeat that task that I'd done. So those are kind of the tools. You can see that it's pretty easy to get rolling. I've taught lots of people how to use this, especially educators in my family over the last 6 weeks. And they've found a lot of value in it, and a lot of them are not necessarily tech savvy and were able to kind of get it up and running. So hopefully, this is a product that can be really helpful and can get you kind of moving in being asynchronous communicating. That's all I got.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Joe. That looks like a lot of fun. Let's hear from Pete, the co-founder at Atrium, and learn a bit about how Atrium can help sales teams while remote.
Okay, thanks, El. And I'm a huge CloudApp homer. Many of these slides were put together using CloudApp last night. But yeah, my name's Pete Kazanji. I'm one of the co-founders of Atrium. So Atrium makes what we refer to as continuously monitored AE, SDR, and CSM performance analysis software. The cool thing about it is that it's super quick to set up and ready to go in 10 minutes. There's a lot of organizations that are working from home for the first time. We have a bunch of SDRs and AEs who all of a sudden folks don't have line of sight on anymore. So it kind of creates management challenges there. And so the way that Atrium kind of tackles this is really by helping to instrument rep performance at a very granular level. And the reason why is because if you think about the output of a sales organization, it's largely the summation of the outputs of the individual reps. And so in order for us to make everybody the best person they can be, the best rep they can be, what we want to be able to do is instrument their performance, whether that means, you know, shortfalls or outperformance, such that we can identify outperformance and then spread it around to the rest of the organization. And in so doing, make everybody, you know, the best they can be. And so the way that Atrium does this is by hooking into a variety of systems that reps use to do their day-to-day. So calendar, CRM, email system, and out of that comes you know, KPIs and dashboards pre-baked. But importantly, what Atrium does is it continuously monitors these KPIs in order to bubble up potential issues and also flag outperformance proactively, and does that using statistics and using math as opposed to relying on people to use their eyeballs to look at charts. And so the way to kind of think about how Atrium can be helpful, these are the sort of use cases that it can help address. So, you know, if you have reps who are in ramp, obviously understanding if their customer facing meeting counts, their op creation or op ownership, or, you know, pipe ramps are coming into band is very important early on. And so, you know, keeping track of that is something that Atrium does. Also, if you have a bunch of reps who have newly moved to work from home, and you're suddenly realizing that maybe your existing performance instrumentation wasn't exactly tip top, well, Atrium is really helpful for that. And this is, you know, one of the reasons why it's so we've invested so much time and energy in making it easy to set up. And also Atrium just pushes this information to people, because one of the things we know is that the last thing on a lot of sales managers, SDR managers, even like operations folks' mind is like, hey, I should go like dive into some dashboards right now, figure out what's going on. Atrium just kind of pushes insights to you. The neat thing is as noted, is that it's super quick to turn on. It takes 5 minutes to turn on the data. Data syncs over an hour or two, and like all of a sudden, ta-da, you've got a fully implemented metrics harness for your team. We work with some pretty amazing customers, kind of a who's who of modern sales organizations. Great, so that's the context on Atrium. So now I'm going to show you what it actually looks like in practice. Unlike Melanie, I'm not able to set this up live, so I'm going to show you all a demo instead. So this is a demo instance. These are Disney character names right here, and so I'm actually logged in as a sales manager. And so one of the things you'll notice is you might say, well, wait a minute, this is performance analysis tool. Where are all the metrics? Where's the wall of charts? And so what Atrium has is it actually does have a wall of charts, and it's got dozens and dozens of KPIs that are pre-baked that work out of the box. But Atrium pays attention to those, so you don't have to. And so what's happening here is, as a sales manager who's responsible for these reps right here, Atrium is telling me which of my reps might need help, which of my reps deserve a high five, and where we can generalize their outperformance. And specifically, what Atrium is doing is it's pushing the specific insights to me. So, like in this case, this little Debbie here has a number of anomalies or issues that I, as a manager, might want to pay attention to. Her average selling price is 22% off as compared to her peers right here. We can note that she looks like she's having a deterioration in her pipeline management capacity. So you can see her untouched opportunities are the number of untouched opportunities is degrading over time. We can see that her meetings on calendar as compared to her peers is light. And so what Atrium has done all this analysis for me and is pushing this to me saying, hey, Pete, or hey, Hiram, in this case, you might want to pay attention to little Debbie because it looks like she has a number of issues you should pay attention to. Similarly, Fight for Pig is another rep that you might want to pay attention to, Pete, but for different reasons. Right? Little Debbie had an ASP issue. Well, Fight for Pig looks like he has a win rate issue here, and he's missing his opportunity ownership goal that I've set that it's supposed to be $150,000, it's $87,000 instead. And so what Atrium is doing is it's monitoring this stuff and then pushing this information to me. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. There's a number of reps who are outperforming, and so Atrium is noting that to me as well. So I know that this is my sales team right here, my mid-market sales team, and so I know that it's not across the entire sales team. There actually are reps that are outperforming. In this case, Audrey here is crushing it with respect to pipeline ownership. She's crushing it with respect to win rate. She's crushing it with respect to ASP. And so Atrium, again, is doing this analysis for me and pushing this information to me. Yes, to the UI right here, but of course, pushing it to me via email as well. The next thing I wanted to note is that Atrium is doing this, not just bubbling this up from a managerial quote unquote dashboard or cockpit standpoint, and it does this for every single rep continuously. So Fight for Pig, we were talking about earlier, Atrium helps monitor goals that we call out here. So for instance, I've noted for my team that I have an expectation that they should be doing 80 calls a week, and they should be having 15 customer facing meetings on the calendar and creating five meetings. Well, what Atrium is telling me is that last week, Fight for Pig had a little bit of issues. So under 40% under with respect to call volume, 50% under with respect to meetings on calendar. And so Atrium does this accounting for me and bubbles it up. But also importantly, Atrium does this from a go forward standpoint as well. So here we are on Tuesday, the 5th of this week, and Atrium is noting that already Pfeiffer looks like he's behind a little bit with respect to his call volume here. It does look like he's on track with respect to his meetings on calendar, which is why this is noting that he's on track. And the same, of course, is true with respect to monthly goals as well. Right, we're pretty early in the month right now, so there's not a lot of sample size. So we're kind of in the grace period there. And then Atrium does this with every kind of KPI for this individual rep as well. So this is a great place where managers and reps do data-driven one-on-one, so nobody's confused behind the 8-ball. And then the last thing I wanted to note here is that Atrium. So yes, Atrium does this proactive analysis for managers, but it even does heavier analysis as well. And so one of the things that Atrium will do is look at potential drivers of either underperformance or outperformance in order to help managers understand what's really driving output. So in this case, this is a positive case. Audrey Ramirez, the rep that we were noting earlier, we can see in the trailing 90 days has really outperformed as compared to her peers here. So she has about 84% more bookings in the trailing 90 days. Now, the interesting thing here is that what Atrium is saying is that, it really doesn't look like this is a result of her ASP or her win rate. She's really just kind of the same efficiency. It's not like she had an accidental bluebird deal that came in that blew out her number. It's really that she's just doing way more work than everybody else. And so in this case, what Atrium is identifying proactively is the core driver of this behavior. And so what this indicates is this rep right here has figured out in some sort of capacity the ability to outperform on this team, and it looks like it just kind of comes from level of effort, which is an important thing to know if you're generalizing this across the rest of the team. And moreover, you can see that this looks like it kind of happened in February. So while the rest of the organization might be saying like, hey, we're having pipeline issues because of a pandemic or what have you, it kind of seems that that's not the case here, at least for one rep. And so we could dive into figuring out exactly why that is. And so the important thing here is that Atrium is doing that proactively. So I, as a manager, don't have to do that debugging. And instead, I can spend my time doing the management rather than doing the investigation. And so the kind of the nice, so how Atrium works for managers, for AE managers, SDR managers, and sales operations. One of the great things about Atrium, of course, is that it's super quick to set up. You can just go to atriumhq.com and go to sign up, or if you want to have a guided tour and get set up with a free trial, you can just request that on our website. Ta-da!
Awesome. Thanks so much, Pete. Wonderful. Last but not least, we're going to hear from Kevin, the Director of Sales at Metadata.io, and learn all about how their platform can help drive something we all care about right now, demand gen.
Nice.
Hey everyone, that was enjoyable. I was actually finding myself taking notes on some of the tools here, so well done so far. We'll try and end on a strong note. The theme of today is tools that are easy to use. And because of that reason, I wanted to start by sharing a recent G2 report that talks about metadata being the easiest to use account-based orchestration platform. So what does that really mean? ABM was the buzzword for the last couple of years, but once you identify those target accounts, what are you going to do with them? And that's where account-based orchestration comes in. Account-based orchestration is delivering the right content on the right channels to the right contact within your target accounts. It looks like my screen is still loading here, taking a very long time. Bear with me.
Come on,
perfect
Zoom.
timing. I know, just a great way to end this.
Crushing the internet.
Yeah, let's try this again here. It's getting right to the very end of that loading bar, and then it just gives up.
It's because Joe put a 2 gigabyte GIF in the deck, right, Joe?
Yeah, trying to create a comedy routine in the background. All right, so be it. Can you see my screen right now? We'll do it.
Yeah,
without
looks
presenting.
good. Yeah, looks good.
All right. Apparently that's too much to ask to make this full screen. So anyway, where metadata comes in is the concept of autonomous demand generation. I think it's been a little bit overplayed, the notion that because of everything going on in the world today, suddenly executives all of a sudden care about things like time to value and ease of use and implementation. I think it's just becoming even more of a necessity than ever when people are being asked to do more with less. So Metadata has created a platform that takes your existing content in your campaigns and your advertising and optimizes it in a way that's going to enable you to target only the folks who have the ability to directly impact your business this year. And I'll talk about how we do that, which is primarily in 3 ways. The first, which is what we're going to spend the most amount of time on today, is the idea of accurate targeting. We spend time creating in our minds what is an ideal customer profile. So, well, you know, I think we typically have the best success with CMOs or VPs of sales. And when you ask somebody to drill down into that as to why it is, they don't always have a great answer. It's just, well, we typically that's who we talk to, and that's okay. But Metadata came along and said, there's a better way to do this. And the way that we are doing this for our customers is by plugging into your CRM. And when we do so, we're going to analyze your historical data to determine factually who are the types of personas and industries and verticals that you have had the most success with in the past. And by most success, we focus on a few things. The first being average sale price. Typically, we will place more emphasis on deals that close for greater than your average sales price, as well as those that close in the shortest amount of time. It's sort of the cream of the crop, if you will, when it comes to leads. It's high average sales price and short sales cycle. And similarly, one of the things that often causes problems for sales and marketing is that sometimes opportunities are created and they remain open for an extended period of time. And then ultimately our mark closed lost. So marketing is getting the impression that they're creating pipeline, and sales is getting frustrated because this quote unquote marketing influence pipeline isn't actually closing. So there can be a little bit of friction there. So we actually will look at your closed lost opportunities as well and suppress those personas and those industries and those verticals that have typically caused you problems. Normally, this next part is a little bit more interactive, but in the interest of time, I'll just talk us through this. These are 2 actual ads that we ran in our own campaigns. And I'd like to ask the folks that I'm speaking with to tell me which ad they think performed the best and what their reasoning is. Oddly enough, I was amazed to see how many people would say things like, oh, I like the ad on the right. And when I would ask why, they'd say, oh, I like the green, which would sort of speak.
That's what I was going to say.
Right?
It's brighter. I'm going to kick it. I'm going to click it.
That's right. Marketers put their heart and soul into creating what they think is the perfect ad, but at the end of the day, we don't know what it is that's going to catch somebody's eye. So what we want to do is we want to run as many of these different campaigns and experiments as we can, which is what we can do in our platform in an automated way. When you kick into the data, this is what most marketers are looking at. When they're running campaigns on LinkedIn, their CMO sends them an email saying, hey, what does the numbers look like? And they say, great news. We ran these 2 ads. The ad on the left is producing vastly higher amounts of impressions and clicks at a lower cost per click. We generated 46 leads at a cost per lead of just $54. Amazing. And when they see this, marketers will often, and understandably so, shift budget to the ad on the left, because in their mind, these are the numbers that matter. When you put these campaigns through metadata, we're going to follow that ad all the way through the entire life cycle into that created pipeline and ultimately into close won revenue. And you'll see, Pete, I'm sure this is why you picked the one on the right, not because of the green. The ad on the right actually produced a vastly higher amount of actual close won revenue and therefore ROI.
I'm
what
the
best. what metadata will do is it'll tell you this, and it will automatically shift budget away from the underperforming ads and into the higher performing ads. But up until now, this is really reliant on manual human process, which, as you can imagine, is quite slow and reactive rather than being proactive. So the way we're going to do that in this multivariate campaign that we have patented is by really focusing on one control and then all of your different variables. So in this example, we'll take just one asset, whatever this may be of yours that you want to run, and we're going to run it against 3 different channels, 3 different audiences, 2 different offers within that piece of content, what the creative looks like, what the copy looks like. All of these things combine when you extrapolate this into 144 different experiments. If you're an average marketer, you're typically running maybe 10, 12 manual campaigns a week, whereas we, in this example, can get 144 campaigns started in a matter of about 15 minutes. So again, going back to the premise of today, which is ability to get something stood up quickly. Look, we're as crazy as it is to say, we're approaching the halfway mark in 2020, and that leaves me with a cold sweat. But what we have done is created a platform that's super easy to get stood up, and I'm going to use that segue to talk about how we're going to do that. I'm not even going to bother blowing this up. All right, so what you're looking at here is the dashboard within metadata, and for any marketers on the call, you're going to recognize that big, beautiful thing in the middle as a full funnel marketing tool. As we talked about earlier, we're going to track everything from the very top of funnel all the way down to the closed revenue. You'll see everything here in terms of quantifiable data. You'll see what experiments are running right now. If you want to click into that, I'll show you the specific ads that are being run, as well as the results. So we can track our spend right here, track our cost per lead, track those vanity metrics that you still do have to report up the ladder, but ultimately then ensure that your dollars are going towards the ads that are producing actual pipeline. So quickly, I want to show you how easy this is to get stood up. If we go to integrations here, I'm already connected to Salesforce, but let's say we want to connect to HubSpot, no problem. This is all done on an OAuth, the industry standard, couple of clicks to get set up. Connect that, and right away you're connected to your HubSpot system, your Salesforce system. So now, as I mentioned at the start of this, we want to create an ideal customer profile. Hey, I don't want to guess at this. Tell me what the data says as to who we should be targeting. So we'll simply create a new profile. We'll use our Salesforce data If you don't have Salesforce, you still can do this via CSV. I would encourage anybody on this call who wants to take advantage of our free ICP that we're offering. It will be easier if you are a Salesforce user, but we can work with you even if not. You'll just match the fields within your Salesforce instance to the fields you see here, and you'll create this new profile. So let's see what one of those looks like. Here's our ICP from the last 12 months, and you'll see how the tool is scoring these things based on what industry they're in, the geography, the company size, and all, as well as things like their tech stack. This is, as we talked about, the cream of the crop for sales. And speaking from experience, if somebody said, hey, we want to give you the leads that are converting for the highest dollar amount in the shortest amount of time, I would cry probably, but you don't have to. So this is now going to be available to anybody. And as I also mentioned, we are going to suppress those that linger in the pipeline. For anybody who has run sales or a sales team, you know those deals that I'm talking about that one of your reps just keeps pushing from month to month to month. And the next steps generally say something along the lines of like, circling back with Joe to touch base on next steps for roughly 90 days. Yeah, you got it. Checking in and following up and circling back. So we want to make sure that your sales team isn't wasting time with leads that are not going to convert. And instead are focusing on the ones that have the highest propensity to close. Here's the real kicker, is that once you create this ideal customer profile, you're actually going to be able to see who that is. Before you spend a single dollar in any digital ad campaign, we want you to proof this. So maybe your hypothesis was correct all along and it matches what our ICP tells you. Maybe you say, hey, we appreciate your ICP, but we want to take a go at it ourselves with our own data. No problem. Regardless of how you want to do it, you'll be able to proof all of the targets that your ads will be going out to before you spend a single dollar. So in the theory of doing more with less, what this is going to enable you to do is hyper focus your ad spend on only the handful of decision makers within each of your target accounts, and only serve those with ads and campaigns that have the ability to impact your bottom line. There's plenty more that we can show, but in the interest of time, I'll cut it here. As I mentioned, we are going to be offering a free ICP report. We saw how easy it was to build, and we'll go ahead and do that for you if you would like. The link will go out, I believe Elle mentioned, in a follow-up email, but you can see the URL here above if you wanted to go and take a shot at it yourself. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin. Look, we've got a few minutes here. These are all SaaS-based solutions, so obviously you can use any of these tools while remote, but I'd really love to open up the conversation to all panelists for the remaining 10 minutes or so here. And I'd love to just hear about if anything in the product has changed or focus shifted to support teams while remote during this latest crisis.
I can take the lead on that. We actually, as you know, Elle, we've actually partnered with quite a few experts on different applications to provide more out-of-the-box content, because what we saw is that the biggest hindrance that most companies have with, putting in place a knowledge or a training solution is just like the time and effort required to document and to create content, especially given that everyone has so many other responsibilities. And so we've partnered up with different folks on Outreach and SalesLoft and John Barrows to put as much enablement and out-of-the-box content as possible in the app that you can then just go in and edit. So that's been a big shift in. And then we also made all of our functionality available on our free plan, including our Salesforce integration, not just the limited feature set we had prior, and that's going to be there to stay. So I'd say those are the two biggest shifts that we've done.
Awesome. Anyone else?
Yeah, this is Joe. This isn't necessarily a shift, but we've always offered CloudApp Pro to educators for free. So a lot of the increase in traffic has definitely been from education. So we've basically, people sign up and then they connect with our support team, and then we turn on, open the pipes to Pro for them. So that allows for unlimited recording on video. So we have done that and made sure people were aware of that, sent out several, email blasts letting people know of that opportunity. We've also just, being kind of a remote first tool, we put out a lot of content over the last year that was like tips and tricks for remote work. And we kind of like doubled down on that over the last month and a half, like millions of other people, right? People are probably getting fatigued from remote content. But we saw about a 10x increase in our people viewing our remote content. So that's been helpful for our large database, and then also just people, doing searches to try and find ways to improve and connect with their colleagues. And that's both content around using CloudApp, but also like I did a conference presentation last week on this remote worker bill of rights that we did. So it's kind of, there's some fun stuff in there, but there's also some use case stuff that kind of helps with the product. So that's kind of been our strategy to help lead the charge.
Awesome. Anyone else?
I just I mentioned this previously, but part of this free ICP, the idea here is, unfortunately, some companies are cutting the workforce, but nearly everybody, unless you're like a Zoom, right now is really taking a hard look at their digital spend, their advertising spend, and really just all of their costs across the board. So this campaign originated out of the hope of serving people in giving them a tool that they can use to really cut down their digital spend, but not necessarily affect the results. And we're doing that by allowing people to proof their audience before they start spending on it. Right now, when you run a campaign on LinkedIn, you're essentially blind as to who is receiving that. And this gives you the ability to make sure it's only going to the folks who you want to target, rather than a secretary or administrative assistant at one of your larger companies that will never make a purchasing decision. So the hope here is to enable people to keep business moving without having to cut human labor.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks so much. Cool. Just to recap, each of these tools can be quickly set up with the goal of being able to see value in days, not months. So I'll be sharing contact details and any special offers mentioned along with the recording to this webinar in an email. So all of you can check out these tools for yourselves and get any questions that you may have answered. Thank you very much for attending, and we hope to see you again at upcoming webinars. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.